2 times to the Eastern Conference Finals with the Pacers. A lot of speculation that the Lakers wanted Monty Williams, who wound up in Phoenix, that they wanted Tyronn Lue. Those negotiations broke down. Instead, it's Vogel to L.A.
I'm shocked. I'm shocked by the hire. And, I was thinking of some of the guys that was on that short list, ranging from Ty Lue to Jason Kidd, and the list goes on. But I really do feel like this had to get the approval of LeBron James to make this thing happen. And I'm hearing that it's a prominent coach that will be assisting Vogel.
Jason Kidd
on the sideline.
Woj is also reporting that. Yep.
So that's major right there. So, when you have that addition, you have to be happy with the wealth of knowledge on that sideline now.
It's almost like they have 2 head coaches, and I know Jason Kidd's going to serve in a reserve role, but we played with Jay Kidd in Dallas. He was a coach on the floor with us a bunch of times. When we first got there, we didn't know the plays. He'd talk with his eyes, hey, get over there. Like, he'd make sure, look at me, always look at me. That was his thing, and he would always get guys in the right spot. So we know Jason Kidd, having that point guard knowledge, he's going to be able to impart some of that. I think he'll be good for Zoe. I see a lot of Jason Kidd's game in Alonzo if he can just unleash some of it with the way that he passes the ball and has that great court vision. So I think Jason Kidd being an assistant and Frank Vogel getting the head job, I think it's a good hire. It was looking a little dire straits for the Lakers at one point because people kept turning down the job, but I think that this is a good move for them. And you bring in some guys that definitely have some experience winning games in the playoffs because Frank Vogel, as we said, has been to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 different times with the Pacers. I like the move, and this is a pretty good bounce back.
It's hard to evaluate because you don't know what the roster is going to look like because there's so much ahead this summer, but Frank Vogel had great defensive teams in Indiana, and maybe he can translate that to the L.A. Lakers.
They're going to need that. LBJ don't play defense like he used to. They're going to need that defense now.
And you had to get this established in play because with the lottery balls Tuesday and so much more happening, you want to have a strong foundation, going forward.
And apparently still no team president, and evidently they're not going to hire one in L.A. It's Rob Pelinka's show, it appears.
That's good. At least now we know everybody be on the same page.
Yeah, well, we'll see. Because the champs took care of business on the road, there will be 2 rather than 3 Mother's Day Game 7s. Philly and the Raptors will figure out who moves on to Milwaukee. Then it's the Blazers and Nuggets with the winner heading to the Bay Area for the Western Conference Finals. Home court in Game 7s is basically gold historically. Home teams are 105 and 28 in Game 7s. They've won nearly 80% of the time. Which of the 2 road teams on Sunday, the Sixers or the Blazers, has the best chance to beat that history?
I like the Blazers, and if I have to pick one, I will go with the Blazers just for the simple fact that they have that dynamic backcourt. When you talk about Dame and you talk about CJ, those guys can get hot at any time, and we saw how Dame ended the last playoff series against OKC with that big-time shot. So if the game is close and it comes down to a shot-making contest, my money is always going to be on Dame Lillard. So if I had to pick between the 2, I think Portland has the best chance to go on the road and get a Game 7.
Look, I only picked this team because he picked that one. and I had to go.
You can agree. That's okay.
We agree on that.
We can agree, man. It's okay to be. Hey, I'm normally right, so it's okay to be. It's okay to get on the side of right.
That's how I feel too.
Yeah. That's why we work out together.
But I had to pick, the Philadelphia 76ers. Having a realistic chance of winning Game 7 on the road in Toronto, just because of the simple fact that Jimmy Butler is clicking. He's playing the right way. Ben Simmons also has found something. They're giving him the necessary real estate for him to operate and get downhill as much as possible. And not to mention, Joel Embiid. Whether it's his stomach issues, whether it's the bubble guts, or whatever the case may be, you have to find a way to impose your will on this game. All excuses out the window, and I think he'll find a way to, win that matchup for once. And you got to give Marc Gasol a ton of credit. I don't think it's been, all these illnesses and things like that. I just think it's been Marc Gasol doing an excellent job of defending him.
Yeah, and
Embiid's been a little sick though. He can
be a little sick, but you got to give credit where it's due.
No,
he's had 3 different diagnoses during this series, but
I'm not gonna be as mean as y'all. Y'all out here calling Embiid a faker, man.
No, I'm not calling him a faker, but at the same time, like during the course of the regular season, what he's averaging, like 14 points.
Yeah, and that goes back to Gasol's Memphis days as well. He does not have very good numbers against.
You say, hey man, dude, he KYP in me. He knows his personnel. He's doing an excellent job. Anything else is elementary.
Having said all that, I'm with you because I think the Embiid factor, if he plays up to his potential, that's a game changer and a series changer for Philadelphia. All right, which star, and this may play off that last answer, is most needed to dominate for his team to advance on Sunday?
I think it goes back to Embiid. I think he has to be the best possible version of himself. I think he has to get the ball. He has to be assertive. You know, we was just talking in the back, like, questionable, like, is he going to get 10-plus attempts?
Right.
And that shouldn't even be a question when you're the face of the franchise, the guy that scores at a rapid rate consistently in the paint, outside, your versatility and what you bring to the game, he has to be a monster.
I think make what you will plus minus. He was plus 40 in Game 6.
Okay.
Look at that. I mean, look, he's so capable of going out there and doing that. And I don't care if you got to be on bed rest all day, miss shoot around, stay off your feet, stay off the whatever knee it is, rest your back, just come out and be the best possible version of yourself, Game 7, get that quality win.
All right, who you got?
I'm going to stay in that same game, and I think that the guy that's going to have to step out there and be the best for his team to get the victory is Kawhi Leonard. And the thing, I like your point about Embiid, but guess what? If Embiid's not playing well, they can go to Jimmy Butler, they can go to Ben Simmons, they can go to Tobias Harris. If Kawhi is not having a Kawhi type of game, Toronto hasn't had that next star step up just yet. So I think Pascal Siakam is coming, but right now it's going to have to come down to Kawhi playing at the excellent level that he has been. I think he's been the second best player in the league in the playoffs behind Kevin Durant. Then I'm going to slot in Kawhi. He does it at both ends, and I think he has to have one of those games where he puts his imprint on the game. And that doesn't mean he has to take a lot of shots, but he has to be efficient, which he has been. He has to play defense, and he's done a great job in this series at times guarding Jimmy Butler. So I think Kawhi comes out there, has a big game at home, and this is what they brought him there for. They brought him there to win these type of games. Like, this team has made it far before, but they brought Kawhi in to win these type of games, get them over the hump, take them somewhere that they didn't feel DeMar DeRozan could get them to.
Raptors have only had 2 games in the postseason so far in which Kawhi did not lead them in scoring so far. Which coach is under the most pressure to get his team to the next round?
I think the coach with the most pressure, once again, stay in the same game, same team, is Nick Nurse. Nick Nurse, this team has such high expectations because the Toronto Raptors, they've made it to the Eastern Conference Finals before. They fired a coach that was arguably the greatest coach in their team's history. They switched up this roster, and then on top of that, all the pressure that goes into this game, if Nick Nurse loses this game, he might lose his best player. Like, right now, the Toronto Raptors are not only playing to advance in the playoffs, but they're playing for the right to keep Kawhi next year, because if they make a run to the Eastern Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals, Kawhi really has to think twice about, do I really want to leave here? I know LA's real sunny, but the Six has something for me. If they lose, they make his decision a lot easier to walk out of that door via free agency. So I think Nick Nurse has a ton of pressure.
Yeah, I think he made excellent points about Coach Casey being one of the best coaches in that franchise history. But I'm going to pivot and go back to this series also and say that Brett Brown has to win. And you look at what Elton Brand did in acquiring Jimmy Butler, acquiring Tobias Harris, pretty much trading away their future, and guys like the #1 pick and Markelle Fultz. And, getting a lot of the core guys that you kind of built with and trust the process with. And then now you fast forward and you got exactly the roster that you wanted. So, look, on paper, you guys are amazing. Now it's time to deliver.
All right, give me a couple of picks for players who could rise up and contribute beyond the usual expectations on Sunday.
I would have to say Farouk Aminu. And I say that because, look, he's been rebounding the ball extremely well for Portland, and he's been that fourth-tier guy. But I think that he's due for an offensive explosion, because what they do is they do an excellent job.
An offensive explosion?
Yeah, I think because he's going to have so many opportunities. Like, if you look at any exiting game for the last couple of years with the Portland Trail Blazers, Farouk has had a wealth of shots and opportunities where he's finished the game with 21 points, 12 or 13 rebounds. Because the opportunities is, if you're able to score 25-plus points and beat us, we shake your hand, send you an Uber, and send you wherever you want to go. So that's the mindset for, teams in the past. So I think it's going to be the same thing. Shut down Dame in that backcourt and force somebody else to beat you.
Clearly, Karan bought Uber stock when the IPO came out this week. Who you got?
Yes, he did. I'm going to go with Cantor. I think I'm going to stay in that same game, but I'm going to go with Cantor just because I think so much pressure is on Dame, so much pressure is on CJ, that Cantor slips down the lane and he has a lot of opportunities to score. get the hockey assist, pass the ball on the weak side. We know what he does on the glass, and more importantly, he can attack the Joker inside, get Jokic in some foul trouble, and make Jokic work on the other end. So I think if Kanter has a really, really big game, that would speak volumes for this Portland team. It would mean a lot, and he didn't have his best game last time out. So I think that when you look at what they do in the pick and roll, especially in the middle of the court, Kanter sliding into that mid-post area, I think he has a chance to do a lot of damage.
A lot has been asked of him. That you get the feeling he's being held together with like duct tape and string at this point because of the shoulder and everything else that's gone on this postseason. We'll get Game 7 predictions a little later on in the show, coming up sooner than that. We'll hear from Joel Embiid ahead of his first Game 7, plus what to expect from the Sixers and Raptors on Sunday.
Trust the process.